Today on the Extreme Channel, we are looking at a prototype. That's right, there's only one of these in the world. It is a 1/4 scale custom DC Comics piece. So I suppose we should start this off in the right way. Gone, gone the form of man. Rise the demon Etrigan. To give back to you guys, the Extreme Channel is giving away this giant Goro statue from PCS for our 20,000 sub giveaway. If you want to know how to win this, I'll tell you a little bit later in this video. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Extreme Channel. As I said in the intro, today we're looking at an extremely rare piece. Right now there is only one of these in the world. However, they are producing 30 to 40 of these. We'll come back to that. And if you're unfamiliar with who this is actually a piece from DC Comics. This is a demon called Etrigan, and it's actually a pretty badass character. So this is a custom piece, which means it's a private unlicensed commission, and a lot of people don't know too much about Etrigan. So Etrigan has a few different origin stories, but he's best well known for being part of the Dark Justice League. Now, even though he's a demon, he actually fights the forces of evil. Although he does sometimes act out as a demon, he's really aggressive and really violent. So Etrigan is actually associated with Merlin. Merlin summoned him way back in the mid-ages to protect him against another sorcerer. And then there's a few different versions of how it progressed from there, but the most popularized version is that Merlin actually merged Etrigan onto a guy named Jason Blood, who essentially became immortal and grew up throughout the ages. Then fast forward to common times in DC Comics, in Gotham City, Jason Blood lived as Etrigan. And Jason Blood, the human form of Etrigan, was into all types of occult stuff. Yeah, I just said all types. All types of occult stuff. He's a demonologist. He knew Druid worship. He actually knew some sorcery. He was kind of a consultant, not only for the Justice League sometimes, but for the police. But when he really wanted to get badass, he would actually turn into Etrigan. And Etrigan is a pretty incredible character. Not only is he a demon, so he's incredibly powerful, he can spit hellfire, he's almost invulnerable, he controls fire and ice, he loves to shoot fire from his mouth, hellfire, he can actually stand up blow to blow with Superman, he knows sorcery, and he is a sadomasochist, so he actually likes pain. So he has no fear when it comes to battle and things of that nature, he actually likes it. And if he gets injured, it's no big deal, because he has a super healing factor. He's also immortal, so it doesn't really matter anyway, because he couldn't die. So today we're going to do an in-depth review of this guy, and we're going to do it a little bit different. So make sure you stay tuned to the Extreme Channel, because we got some awesome pieces. Tomorrow we have Prime 1 Studios' Big Game Predator. The day after that we have a Custom Weapon X, and we're going to try a little bit different review format. So make sure you've not only liked this video, but you've subscribed to the channel and you've hit that bell notification to see all that stuff. And then take it one step further. Let me know in the comments today if you like this new review format. I'm not going to show you the assembly of him, but let's look at a few of the features in regards to design and things of that nature. So he's in quite a few pieces, and because this is the prototype, everything that assembled the way I did it won't necessarily be the same when the production pieces come out. However, everything will look the same. Now, a few things on the dimensions. He's a little bit over 25 inches tall, and both the widest and the deepest points are actually 19 inches. The base and the fire effects will also contain a light up feature that isn't present here on this prototype, but it will be on the production pieces. Now, what's really cool is you have 3 different switch out options for the portraits, so let's take a look at those. First, we have what I call a longhorned with the mouth closed. He's still baring his teeth, looks pretty cool, and I think this is actually my favorite. But one slightly different than that is his mouth is open, and you can see his tongue. He's a little bit more fierce, a little bit more pissed off on this one. But if you want to see something really cool, check out the shorthorn portrait, where he is actually spitting hellfire from his mouth. Has that clear translucent resin just like the base. So a lot of that information, again, is kind of preliminary because this is a prototype. They just created one, and now they're going to mass produce for the customers that they have. And this is also the second piece they have coming in their line. You can check it out right here. This Constantine also looks amazing, and I think it might find its way to this table as well. But let's look at some close-ups of this guy, look at the paint and sculpt. A few things that are going to vary from this prototype to the final production. For the most part, this is what you're going to get. So I really like this sub-base that they have here. It has some skulls and a little bit of hellfire coming from the bottom. Kind of reminds me of medieval, which there is a lot of medieval in him. Now let's look at the rocks really quick. I think there could have been more texture on this, but otherwise they look okay. You can't really see a lot of it because the hellfire is kind of everywhere. And I really wish that the prototype would show the light up feature. It is wired for it, but it didn't have the right plugins. So that'll look really cool lit up. Now the dragon that he's actually stepping on, we didn't look at much. It looks badass. I love the scaly red skin of this. The teeth are a little overdone, too bloody. So he did tell me that a lot of that blood from the teeth is going to go off, so it won't be that much red, but it still looks fantastic as it is. Even the horns on the dragon, these look like real horns. The paint job, the way kind of the grain flows with them, very impressed. So there's not many places that you can actually see his skin, but you can on his feet, where he definitely needs a pedicure. And I'm actually a huge fan of his hands. He has these really long nails. He just looks badass, very evil. And that's only matched by the awesome costume he has. So he has all this medieval armor, which makes sense because he essentially was part of a demon squad way back in the Merlin time. And then now he's in the Justice League Dark nowadays. But you can see this fantastic chainmail. And then we're also going to look at some of the robes and stuff flying in the wind here. This is fully sculpted. There is nothing on here that is actually fabric or mixed media. But even like the leather on this, what I would almost call a dress coming down, looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like real leather, and I think they just did a great job with his costume overall. On his belt right here, he actually has an upside-down pentagram, obviously a sign of devil, demonology type stuff. So very cool, this big old metal plate. And it's just another sign that they really want it as comic accurate as possible. I think they did a great job with his anatomy, and then his red shirt right here with the symbol on the front. I like the texture, I like the folds in it. And then like his gauntlets or his shoulder pads have this awesome skull blood red color on top of the armor, and I think it really just accentuates the character. Here's more of his anatomy and his suit. That's one of my favorite parts. And he is holding that giant long sword. I think they did a nice job with this. This is not metal, it is sculpted, but it looks really good. There's some writing ingrained with it, and I think just the perfect amount of blood on the sword. Even the hilt has this little jewel in it. Pretty cool down here. Cool as these parts are, I think the star of the show is actually the cape for many, many reasons. One, if you look really close, I love how it looks old and tattered. Almost reminds me of not only something in the medieval times, but maybe something that's been burned or he's had for quite a while. I like the flow of it. Gives us blowing in the wind. You can see some stitching. And then I think they did a great job with the different shading throughout this cape. It just looks fantastic. It's also very lightweight, so you don't have to worry about any leaning issues. Now we'll look at the three portraits. Here's the exclusive portrait, as I said. The flame will actually light up. He has this short horn. This is probably the most comic accurate one. But I personally like the long horn ones better. This is probably my least favorite of the three. I think he looks pretty badass, but you can still see that human part of him. But that's where this closed mouth one, where I just really like the best. It shows power without having to show power. Now you'll notice I left off the grading system, but I definitely want to grade, does it have the X factor? Is this an amazing statue? So overall, I don't think it's a 5 out of 5. And part of that is I don't have a lot of ties to the Etrigan character, even though he is pretty badass. However, I really like the sculpt. We talked about a few areas that I would have liked to seen differently. I love the colors on this. It absolutely pops. But I think this is a 4 out of 5 statue. You know, this character has a very loyal following for the people that know him because he simply is a badass, and I think they did a fantastic job with the representation of him. And like I said, they really nailed the character on this piece. So a lot of props to them. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, throw down in the comments below if you like this new review format. Make sure to give me a like on the way out. If you haven't subscribed, hit that Mr. X logo. You can see these other custom pieces. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.